You take off your shoes at the airport without thinking. You don't even notice the metal barriers outside office buildings anymore. You glance a second longer at the person who looks different in a crowd, then tell yourself you're just being careful. None of this feels dramatic. It feels normal. But these small, automatic habits are the living remains of one Tuesday morning that rewired how an entire society detects threat. Most people know the big changes: the TSA, the wars, the surveillance laws. Almost no one talks about the quieter ones. The ones that settled into your daily life so completely that you stopped noticing them. In the next few minutes, you'll see the ones that still shape how you move, how you trust, and how your nervous system decides what counts as danger. Here's the part almost no one talks about. Before September 11th, 2001, it was common for kids, and sometimes adults, to visit the cockpit during a flight. The door was not a fortress. In fact, federal rules required it to be light enough that the crew could kick it open if they became trapped. That design decision made perfect sense, until 4 planes proved how easily the wrong people could walk through it. By April 2003, every commercial airliner in the United States had been fitted with reinforced, bullet-resistant doors that stay locked for the entire flight. Passengers are no longer allowed in. Ever. That single change didn't just make planes harder to hijack. It quietly taught an entire generation that the front of the aircraft is now a sealed, almost sacred space. The feeling of distance between you and the people flying the plane is not natural. It was engineered in response to one morning, and your body still registers it every time the door closes. Weeks after the towers fell, letters containing anthrax began arriving at newsrooms and Senate offices. 5 people died. 17 more were infected. 2 of the dead were postal workers who never opened a single letter. The spores escaped through the tiny pores in the envelopes as the letters were squeezed and shaken by high-speed sorting machines. Experts had believed that couldn't happen. That discovery forced the Postal Service to install biological detection systems in processing centers across the country. It permanently changed how mail is handled, screened, and sometimes irradiated. Even now, when you receive a package that looks slightly off, a small part of your brain still runs the old calculation. Is this powder? That reflex was born in October 2001. Look at almost any large building constructed after 2001, and you'll notice something most people never name. The architecture itself became defensive. Before 9/11, progressive collapse, the idea that one failure could cascade through an entire structure, was barely considered in civilian design. Afterward, it became a core requirement. New tall buildings were given extra stairwells, wider escape routes, pressurized stair cores to keep smoke out, and heavy concrete spines instead of pure steel frames. Outside, the soft edges of cities filled with concrete bollards and steel barriers designed to stop vehicles. You walk past these every day and feel nothing. But they are the physical expression of a collective decision. The public space must now assume the worst is possible. That assumption lives in the concrete. And in you. In sports, something quieter happened. Major League Baseball began playing God Bless America during the 7th inning stretch. What started as a temporary gesture of unity after the attacks became a permanent ritual at many ballparks. Years later, it was disclosed that the Department of Defense had paid professional sports teams millions of dollars for many of these displays: flyovers, honor guards, moments of silence, and large flags. The line between authentic national feeling and institutional performance blurred. Stadiums became another place where the post-9/11 posture of vigilance and ritual was practiced in public, week after week, until it simply felt like tradition. All of these changes share one psychological effect. They trained millions of people to keep a low-level threat scanner running in the background of ordinary life. That phrase, "see something, say something," became more than a slogan. It became a posture. A slight tightening when someone leaves a bag unattended. A second look at the person who seems out of place. A quiet calculation of exits when you enter a crowded space. None of this is dramatic. Most of it is invisible even to the person doing it, but it is the lasting imprint. A society that learned in one morning that the ordinary world can become the battlefield without warning. The interesting part is not that we became more careful. It's that the carefulness became so normal we stopped noticing the cost. The big policies get the headlines. The quiet ones live in your body. Next time you take off your shoes without thinking, or walk past a row of concrete barriers without seeing them, you might notice the scar for a second. That's enough. Which of these quiet changes do you still feel in your own habits? If understanding how big events quietly rewrite everyday life is useful to you, you'll want to subscribe and catch the next video.